I agree, man. So you want to hit to our next segment here which I love.
Yeah. So we're gonna transition to our new segment. Shep has he has a story to go with our segment called Two Wrongs, Two Rights. If you don't know what that means, is that in a situation you can be wrong. You're wrong in the situation, and you're wrong for doing it. You could be wrong, right. You did the wrong things for the right reason. You can be right, wrong. You were right in it, but it was wrong to actually act on that. Or you could be right. Like you're right for feeling that way, and you're right for doing it. And so we talk about scenarios from our lives. So last week I talked about my wife, and she asked me my opinion, and I don't really think was I wrong for not giving her my opinion because she really didn't want it. So we talked about that. So now it's Shep's turn to bring up the situation. Two wrongs, two rights. So what you got?
All right. So for me, it was the other day with my 7-year-old daughter. Like we've had our, since the time haven't I been married, we've been like, well, even before that, I mean, she's been cleaning up after herself, right? Kids know how to clean up toys. We have a 1-year-old, 2-year-old niece who we say go clean up, she knows to just throw stuff in a bin. She gets it. So that's a big thing. She does a lot of art. She makes that really big, just like kind of mess throughout the day.
Okay.
And I've advised to, yeah, hey, you should probably like put them up as you go.
I'm advised.
But it not happening. So I'm like, okay. So after she gets out the shower after dinner and she cleans her room, because after we do that, we usually do some kind of board game as a family, a movie, something, right? So I'm like, and anytime, if you don't know this already, don't have your child clean up before bed. It doesn't work because they either stall and like try to pick up like little crumbs off the floor, or they just like, it just doesn't go well.
Right.
So we're like, okay, we're gonna clean up beforehand. So she goes in there and she cleans up, and at one point she was coming out and saying like, hey, come check it for me and let me see it. I'm like, you know what, you're old enough, and we have 2 rules. So I help her understand what a clean room is. I'm like, everything's off the floor and everything's in its place. If we get that right, then it's boom, that's simple. So I'm like, all you need to do is ask yourself, is everything off the floor and is everything in its right place? And if that's the case, your room's clean, right?
Okay.
So the other day, she was outside, I think Heaven and Leah were painting or something. And I went into her room. She asked me for something and I was looking for it. I'm like, I'm going in the room to get something out. And I went in there and I noticed like her room wasn't clean, right? So I'm like, okay. And Aaliyah's been watching her TV. She got a new TV. She was watching her TV at night. I set a sleep timer and just let her watch something so she can just, chill. And I walk in there, right? And I naturally see it. And I'm like, usually what I would have done is called her back in there and made her clean it up, but I didn't this time. This time I waited, and I waited all the way to bedtime, and so everybody could be in there together, right? And we walk in there, and when it's time for bed, to pray and put her to bed, and I say, "Hey, do you think this room is clean?" And she said no, and I think she knows when I'm about to go into dad. She knows,
Right.
or she'll cry, or she just knows like I have that subtle like
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washington kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me tell you, kind of
Right.
Coach Boone thing. And I was like, okay. So I didn't say anything. And I know if I deal out the punishment or the consequence before we pray and before, it'll be a long day. So I just said, we're gonna pray. We pray together, everybody hug and kiss. And I was like, we're not watching TV tonight at the end, right? And then she just like, of course, had the waterworks, but yeah, do you think in that moment, like, okay, she's 7, like, was I, is that right? You should just let her watch the TV. You should have made her clean it up and then watch the TV, or, like it's not that big of a deal. Or do you feel like, in that moment, a learning point, So
Right.
what do you think? How do you assess the situation? Should I have like been like, it's fine, or should I just, stuck to the guns there?
Right. So we will, when it comes to parenting, we know each parent parents their child because it's their child. Like the
Yeah.
ins and outs of your child. So in the parenting role as a dad or authority, and you've said something, and then there's a consequence for there's reward and consequences for everything. So either you're rewarded a consequence or you're rewarded a celebratory, or it's both. You earn both. I tell my kids that you earn rewards and you earn consequences. You earn them. So I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. You established what you wanted, and then when that wasn't met, you gave the consequence for it. That was it. How she dealt with it, that's how she's going to deal with it. I don't think, some people say, well, you're not right because you didn't give the consequence up front. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. Then they can go, oh, okay, I can balance this out.
We do
but
that a lot, though.
Yeah, you do that a lot, right? I remember my youngest, he would, I'm like, if you do this, we would, if you do this, you're going to get a spanking. And then why be my spanking? It's not how I got a spanking. It was definitely like a pop. You know what I mean? Like,
right, it's different.
Right, it's different. But we labeled it spanking. That's what he knew as a spanking was. He got popped on the behind. My man literally would go, let me weigh this out. Do I do this? I will, but do I get a spanking? He was like, I just think I'll do that, and I'll just take the spanking. I'm like, bro, no, this is not like options. You can't say I'll do this and I'll take the spanking.
Never chose a spanking.
Oh yeah, not me. No way. Love my parents, but I ain't taking a spanking. My boy's like, you know what? It's worth it. Give me the spanking. I'm gonna go do that. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. So, but I would say you were right. You gave a direction that is a doable expected expectation from her. She didn't follow through, and here's the consequence for it. And I think the consequence met the not following directions. It wasn't something like, now you gotta move outside. You gotta sleep outside now.
Right.
Like it matches. You didn't watch TV, so I think it matches. But it's also hard when you also talk to parenting and discipline, because one parent disciplines one way and another household they do it different. But in this situation, I think from the dad point of view, I'm like, bro, you were right. You were right.
Oh yeah, we'll see if the women who watch think.
Yeah. Oh, I got that. That was too harsh.
Yeah, I find it challenging sometimes, man. Like sometimes you don't want to usher the consequence because you feel like man, you've been going through it today, and you don't want to
I feel you.
Like I don't want to be like, but sometimes too, when I've noticed when I give them a concept, like the world doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? The world sets the standard. Like coach, if you end up playing sports and coach says, hey, if you're late, you're going to run. He's not going to tell you every day, like when you're at practice, show up tomorrow at 6 a.m. If you don't, you're going to, I mean, you just know that was a rule that was established. So I think allowing them to find out, like, it doesn't have to come as a surprise, but you know that your room's supposed to be clean. And if I don't want to have to threaten you, I want to have to, because one day dad's not going to be there to threaten you. You know what I mean? Or to tell you, or to give you a consequence. Yeah, I think when you say, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to like try to make them. But if that's not how your child operates, then to me, that worked. Fear motivated me.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? But like for some, it's just like, for her, I think it's like, she is very, her own person. So I'm like, I'm going to allow you to do your thing sometimes. And then I'm going to let you know, okay, that's what I ask. I kind of make her say it with her mouth before I say, hey, did you know you weren't supposed to do that? And the answer would be, yeah. I'm like, so what should you have done? And you can tell me. So if you can acknowledge that, and what you should have done and you didn't do it, then the consequence is coming, So because you get to like, I didn't know that if I failed, that I was going to get kicked out of school. I wasn't going to be able to play on the team. Like nobody told me that. Well, what did you think? I don't want to raise a child who's like, expecting people to like tell them everything, like, well, they never told me that, like you have a homework assignment. You have a homework assignment every Friday. If the teacher forgot to tell you, you should have a homework assignment on Friday. Coach didn't say that I had to, in this zone, like I got to stay in my spot, but the ball, my other guy fell down. I'm just going to stay in my spot though.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to be like, I want her to be able to be like, okay, I want her to be able to process, problem solve, and, and do things on her own sometimes. And sometimes, trust me. Oh, let me disclaimer. I am not a perfect dad. So don't think that I am. I do a lot of.
You're not, bro?
I do no, like I get angry, dude. I do a lot of things that are sit back and people watch me on the dad reel. They're like, he sucks, So, like I try to like, you know, really, really like yesterday, man, last night, like I was in the bed and I was like, okay. She was calling me because her TV had captions in French. I'm like, how do you get to? I don't even know how to get the French subtitles. And I'm laying in the bed, and she called me like 3 times. I'm like, I'm not, I don't want to get up, But I got up and changed it, and then I got back in the bed again, and I told her I was going to pray a blessing over her from number 6:24 to 27. If you heard that new song, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His
Yeah.
face shine upon you. And that's why I was going to pray that every night, and I didn't do it that night, and I forgot. And I'm like, God. So like, so I went up and did that no matter how I was feeling. And I thought, again, that was for me, just really listening to, to what God has to say about
Yeah.
parenting too. Like he's the father, not me. So
Facts.
like when he says, hey, show grace here, I'm like, that's not gonna work. Then he's
Yeah.
just gonna walk over me, And it's like, no, show grace. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I say that I make a point to tell my kids when I'm showing them grace so they understand it. Like, you didn't do this, and this is what this is the consequence that should come to you, but I'm not going to, or it's not going to come to you. And that's called grace. I'm extending grace to you.
Yeah.
So you understand what it is. And I ask them to understand. They say yes, especially when they were younger. They get it now that they're older kids. And I would say when I do pre-marriage counseling, because I'm also a pastor for those who listen to the podcast, I tell people, you don't know how selfish you are until you get married. And then you really don't know how selfish you are until you have kids. It's another level. So when you said that, it popped in my head, like, no, it's about me right now. And I don't want to do that. And you wrestle, like, okay, but that's how you feel. I get you. But what you going to do about it?
Right. I
And
got a
so,
double play to that, man.
exactly.
I got married and came down the same day. So you're a super selfish.
You didn't know how selfish you were, bro.
No, I didn't. I
Yeah.
honestly did.
Yeah. And that's for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I say, good job, Dad. Good dad moment right there. But that is it from us, guys. Hoping you enjoyed episode number 2. We might talk more things about PG County per se in next episodes. We don't know. We'll keep you posted. We are going to be looking out for us to actually have Keeping It PG social media accounts, so we can go to there for that podcast and we can post things about the podcast and clips and sound bites and things of that sort. So that'll be coming up as well. And know that, hey, if we can do something for you, we can pray for you. Let us know. We want you to know that Jesus saves. He is the risen Lord and Savior. That is who we are as people. And everything that we view and do comes out of that lens that Jesus is Lord and He saves for sure. Any closing words, Shep?
Oh, no, man. You guys have a great week. Like you said, we want to impact you guys whatever way possible. Let's go ahead and send some stuff in. We would love to weigh in on that stuff. So send some stuff in. I know you guys got some stuff. I mean, everybody's got some funny stories. I would love to do that. So let's make that a big
That'd be great.
Explode.
Yeah.
So
any of the FCA staff, I know some of y'all listen. If you got a story, it could be about parenting, it could be about your marriage. You can take names out. You want to keep it anonymous.
Right.
You can email us personally, or you can send it to our official podcast email address, which is keepingitpgspeaks@gmail.com. So speaks, because Shep and I, we speak in huddles and at churches and youth groups and camps. And so if you want to reach us, keepingitpgspeaks@gmail.com. That's it from us. And we will see you guys next week. You guys be blessed. Peace. Wash your hands.
Right.